So I am starting to record. So welcome everyone to this Genesis Innovation Workshop on 15th of December. What do you need to minimize time to the clinic for your small volume parenteral presentations? So I am joined today with a representative from Cambridge Pharma who will present you on this topic and the development of their facility. So I'd like to invite Barbara Lead to run through the presentation. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat box and we can pick up on them. And as mentioned at the very beginning, the presentation is recorded, so obviously for you to share with colleagues afterwards if needs. Barbara, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Could I have the agenda slide, please? I'm Barbara Led. I'm the CEO of Cambridge Pharma. And with me on the panel today, I have my colleagues Adam Burgess, who's Director of Quality, Mike Saville and David Mitchell. For the agenda today, I'm going to go through a very short presentation and then throw the meeting open to questions and discussion. So Cambridge Pharma is a new business. Could I have the next slide, please? It's part of the SMC family. SMC is a company in the States which does medical device manufacturing, molding, and a number of other devices. And SMC acquired Oval Medical in 2016. Oval Medical is a company based in Cambridge, UK, and we design and develop and industrialize auto-injectors. So this was a way of SMC gaining a technology foothold in the drug delivery space. And also we have IP, and it was a way of SMC gaining IP. Now, because of the design of our auto-injectors, we have non-standard primary drug containers. So we have a vial-like primary drug container that is usually made of plastic cyclic olefin, and it has to be molded. So we're a very good alignment with SMC. We design and develop the auto-injectors, and SMC actually does the molding of the plastic components and does some of the assembly of the auto-injector sub-assemblies and the PDC sub-assemblies. Now, for a number of years, we worked with pharma customers, and because we have a unique PDC, we had to develop part of the manufacturing process. So if any of you have been on our website, you will see that our primary drug container has a piston, which is made out of high-density polyethylene, and a foil seal, which is the bacterial seal. And so we had to develop the equipment that would do the foiling and the piston insertion. And so for our pharma customers, we've been working to develop the process using our equipment at various CMOs. And we found that there were often delays by going to CMOs where we had to book slots, not a lot of capacity in the industry. And so we decided that Oval would provide, and through SMC family, a one-stop shop for Oval customers by introducing our own pharmaceutical services company to do fill finish. So for Oval's customers, we can provide a complete integrated solution for a one-stop shop. However, we also decided that there's an opportunity to open up this business to non-Oval customers. So could I have the next slide, please?
Yep.
So we are in the process of commissioning our new fill finish facility. We are based on the Cambridge Research Park, and the Cambridge Pharmaceutical, Cambridge Pharma manufacturing facility is just across the road from Oval, right across the road in the research park. And we are about to commission our new building. It's a state-of-the-art facility. We have designed it in cooperation with the MHRA. And so we have decided that we can open up some of our capacity to non-Oval customers. One of the things that we will specialize in is in non-standard primary drug containers, but we can handle the usual primary drug containers. The facility will be fully operational in the second half of 2021. And what the point of this workshop today is to obtain some feedback. We are currently fitting out the facility and we are commissioning equipment. And what we would like to do is to get some feedback from the industry who may consider using pharmaceutical development services. What are your needs? What are the things that you would want a new company providing such services to provide you with? Could I have the next slide, please? Okay, so we are not going to do formulation development as such. We will compound, we will provide formulations, but we won't do things like developing long-acting formulations, certainly not at this stage. We do specialize in process development. And again, from our oval background, we have experience with using, filling and managing long-acting injectables, so very viscous formulations, and other complex formulations, so high viscosity and gels and so forth. We can do packaging development, we can do analytical testing, we have a lab now that is working to GMP, we can do stability testing, and with our QP, we can do QP release for the clinic. And ultimately, if a customer starts with us for the clinical trial supplies, we will then eventually move to provide launch supplies should our customers expect us to do so. Could I have the next slide, please? So we are initially starting with small batches for clinical trial supplies. This is an area that we have identified as an area that is needed in the industry. We will fill small batches from just a few hundreds of vials to 10,000 units or more for a range of presentations. This will include syringes, cartridges, and vials. And I said a few moments ago, we can also fill non-standard primary drug containers, so the containers for on-body devices and so on. We can do aseptic filling, which in isolators. We will have our isolators in the, which will give us a Class A environment. And we can accommodate powder filling. We have had requests for powder filling. We will work with biologics, non-active biologics. We don't want to deal with active biologics at this point in time. We can handle small molecules. And the facility has been designed with 2 clean rooms, and we can provide service with cytotoxic drugs because we have completely separated materials flows, people flows, independent air handling systems, and so on. Lyophilization, we have the space to put in a lyophilizer should some of our customers want that. And this is the sort of thing that ideally we would like to have your feedback on. Could I have the next slide, please? So the services that we will provide, we have a pilot laboratory within our facilities. And so one of the things that we find is that we can add a very fast turnaround if we actually develop our fill finish processes and then transfer them into our aseptic area. Analytical methods, we can transfer the methods from your company to our company. Very early on with process development, we appreciate the analytical methods, particularly for any phase 1 or phase 2 filling may not be fully developed. We have the capability, we have experienced analytical chemists who have done methods development for QC testing and for stability testing. So if your methods are at an early stage of development, you can still transfer them to our laboratory and we will actually optimize those methods and validate them for the batch release. We do stability testing to ICH guidelines and for zones 1 to 4. I mentioned earlier, we have our own QPs, and they can release product to the clinic for Europe, and we can also release product for commercial supply should that be required. We have our own in-house engineering and validation team, and we will provide you with all the documentation that's required for your clinical trials application. So the validation of the equipment, all the documentation for the batch records, and for the quality testing, stability testing, and so on. We have an experienced quality assurance team that would make sure that your documentation actually complies with FDA and European requirements. We will handle placebos for human factors trials. And because we have developed our own primary drug container, we also have had to develop container closure integrity testing methods. So we have an experience in actually developing methods for container closure integrity. And we also know how to develop the equipment. We have relationships with equipment suppliers. And should a customer have a non-standard primary drug container that we need to do container closure integrity testing for, we could actually work with a supplier. If you don't have that methodology in-house, we can work with suppliers and we could develop a CCI test method for you to do 100% container closure integrity testing on every unit that you're going to put into the clinic. We can also do medical device testing. With Oval, we do our own device verification testing. And should you have a container, primary drug container to go into a different drug delivery device, if you do need support on DVT testing, we could partner with you to help you with your DVT testing for a device. It does not have to be an Oval device. So that's a very quick run through. We aim to provide you with a flexible service. I know that some of the problems that that people have when working with CMOs, we've been in that position, and we know lead times and things like that. We can support you in perhaps bringing those down. We can handle sterile drug manufacturing processes with the highest standard of quality to ensure sterility assurance. And we've dealt with things like if you have a sterile, if your product, say you have a suspension and your product cannot be filtered during an aseptic filling process, if you have the capability to provide us with a formulation which is sterile in sterile bags, we have experience in transferring sterile formulation into a system for us to fill it and still maintain sterility and container closure integrity. In fact, we have a very experienced team of doing handling difficult formulations, and we're prepared to partner with your team to minimize your time to the clinic. So that's a brief summary of Cambridge Pharma. And if you have any questions, we'd be delighted to answer them. And I would very much like your feedback as to the sort of things that you're looking for in a CMO for your sterile products for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 clinical trials. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation, Barbara. That was a very useful insight for us all to understand the progress and the opportunity this will bring to especially the local pharma and biotech community. If I may, I might direct firstly a question to David. David, could you tell us a little bit more about the layout of the facility?
David, you're on mute. Mm-hmm.
How's that?
That's great.
That's better. Yeah.
Yeah, we spent a bit of time looking at the facility and making sure we had a nice central zone for dealing with our autoclaves and our washer so that they can service the rooms. We've made sure that we've got a nice corridor running around the outside, one way, so there's no way that people are going to be coming out of one room and crossing over onto another. Both of the filling rooms are unidirection for both materials and people. We have a nice changing area coming in with where we can separate everything out. Into the filling room. On the way out, we have air showers and again, dedicated people out. We've got a inspection area just off the main filling room, so we can inspect the goods as they come out, or we can delay that and do that as a batch later on. Again, segregated out. Our waste flows go straight into all of the waste area, so we don't have any crossover of materials. The separated people in, people out into the main building. So I think we spent quite a bit of time just designing it and making sure that we haven't got any crossover of people or materials.
Thanks for that, David. What about handling highly potent drugs?
The facility has been designed with safe change filters. Both filling rooms have that, as well as some of the auxiliary rooms as well, if we were doing any preparation work there. Within the filling room, the isolator is designed for cytotoxins, high potency, up to OBL level 5. We have different gowning regimes depending on whether we were doing non-active biologicals or cytotoxins to ensure safeguards of the staff. We have air showers coming out of the room and sinks to make sure as well that we have full protection. We meet the requirements that are laid down.
Thank you for that, David. Does anybody else have any questions?
I would like to make one comment, a question that I've been asked by other potential customers is, if Cambridge Pharma is actually servicing both oval and non-oval customers, how can a customer make sure that none of their intellectual property is leaked or information is leaked through to oval? And I think this is an issue that we're very familiar with. A number of our people here who work for oval have worked for design consultants in the past. So we're very aware of the fact that we need to keep Chinese walls between different customers' projects. And so if we were working for a customer that has its own IP and does not want any information to be passed back through to oval, we would make sure that they had a team working on their project that was not working on anything else at that particular point in time. And we have very strict confidentiality rules within Oval and Cambridge Pharma, and teams are not allowed to talk to each other about other customer projects should there be any confidential information that needs to be protected. So we are aware of the confidentiality and the confidential nature that some of you will need to have if we're working with you on your project.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, well, it would appear that we only have one other person online with us at the moment, and if they don't have any further questions, then it's probably the right moment to draw the seminar to a conclusion. Oh, okay, we have got a question. Do you see your customer base being mainly local, national, or do you think your location strength may appeal to an international customer base?
Well, we actually think it will appeal to both. Certainly, we would very much appreciate servicing the local community. We know that within the Cambridge area, there are a lot of companies that will actually require this service. And also within what we call the Golden Triangle, the Cambridge, Oxford, London area. But we also know that we have an international requirement. In fact, we are talking to customers at the moment that want Oval to do a complete service. So the SMC family will be providing a full service of designing auto-injectors, manufacturing the components and filling within Cambridge Pharma. And some of these customers are in Europe and some of these customers are in the US. So we intend to work with an international customer base, but we would very much appreciate being able to service our local customers too, because we are very proud of the fact that we are based here in Cambridge, which is one of the most famous biotech centres in Europe.
Thank you for that, Barbara. Any further questions from anyone? Well, in summary, that was very much a whistle-stop tour of what Cambridge Pharma are setting out to achieve. It's very exciting for the business, as we can see, and we do believe there's a strong need in particularly the local community to support them with this service. Okay, well, thank you for attending, and we'll look forward to speaking soon. Aline, do you want to pass any comment before we finish?
Just extending the thank you for the presentation that I think will be very valuable for people who could watch afterwards, whether they attended Genesis or for within the One Nucleus group that we will make available to them. As you said, it's a really good new service that you identify a need for, and definitely filling a gap here. So I'm very pleased that you could present on that, and happy to help circulating that better in the network.